YouTube, what is going on? This is all you need for back day. So we're kicking things off with a sagittal flap. Yeah, I have joined the hype. But on a serious note, I think that these type of cuffed exercises where we're reducing the external moment arm is a great way to warm up. And if you haven't experienced the stimulus before, it's also going to provide you with a slightly novel stimulus. So we use the lat pull down stack to do our sagittal flaps. I have a specialized cuff that's actually more of an ankle cuff. So if you are cuffing these and you find that your kind of wrist cuffs are not doing the trick, then invest in an ankle cuff so that you can put that around the bigger kind of area where your biceps and elbow is and things like that. So in terms of this, just a warm up. We're not really doing anything in terms of a specific set number. We're just kind of hitting failure. And again, because we have reduced the joint torque here, we can warm up with a slightly heavier load. So it is a kind of win-win, I think, in terms of setting up for the primary exercise in the session. Now, I have been messing around with doing these flaps in different positions. So I am a big proponent of doing the flap in the scapular plane, just because that combines both the shoulder adduction and the shoulder extension. So whereas the sagittal flap only gives us shoulder extension, and we know that the role of things like the lats is to provide us with shoulder adduction, we kind of get a double whammy. And I think this is the best way to employ the flaps, is actually have them performed in the scapular plane. So that's where you can see I'm kind of like dragging and creating an arc. And so I'm getting the adduction in the latter portion, and then I'm getting more of a shoulder extension to begin the start of that lift. So again, similar principle, a little bit easier to load this up. So kind of going from the sagittal one, we can then load that, and then we can get a little bit more load in our scapular one. So this is an effective 2 exercise warm up. Now, in terms of then doing the flaps and then moving into a different specific exercise, I am going to be using straps, and we are going to be doing a more wide grip lat pull down. So you might be thinking, well, why wouldn't you just do frontal flaps? So an adduction flap. And we could do that. And when I say frontal, I mean frontal plane. We could do that, but I still think there's utility in having the lat pull down in there, especially at potentially longer muscle lengths. I'm not going to say that it's stretch mediated hypertrophy, because I think that's a misinterpretation from people who don't understand that concept. But what I do believe is that we can still get a sufficient stimulus for lat growth. So because we hit the two other types of flaps, I think here we can get our more adduction focus moment, and we're going to still see significant lat growth. So again, we're blasting 2 sets, heavy working sets. We don't have to do any warm up here. And then moving on, completing a full rounded back day, we're back to more of the row type shoulder extension. So a high-low row, you can pretty much set this up anywhere as long as you've got a cable and a bench, and you can even do this seated on the floor. And so this is kind of where we switch back to our unilateral. Now, for me, I feel the lats a lot more in this exercise than I do from any of my pull down exercises. And the reason for this is obviously that role of the lat in shoulder extension. So we want to keep our forearm in close, our elbow in close to the side, and we want to keep a neutral hand position. We don't need to do any additional rotation here, I don't think. I don't think we're going to get any additional benefit from doing something like that. Now, flipping over to more of our upper and mid back, we have the machine seated low row. We're still going to get some lat involvement around here. Again, everybody's kind of obsessed with the lats, but we're obviously going to get trap work. We're going to get infraspinatus work. We're going to get teres major, teres minor, things like that. And again, we're wanting to use the neutral grip handles, so not the wide grip handles, so we can keep our elbows in close. And there's often a debate of like where you should go in terms of your shoulder extension and where the elbow flexion should end up. And so midline is generally your rough estimate there. You don't have to go super hyper extension or anything like that. But as long as you get into midline, you're getting a full repetition in my eyes. Now, I also kind of started playing around with more of like the Kelso shrug type thing, so a trap retraction here. So then we do get a bit more focus work in the upper back. Now, this load is probably a little bit light, so we have to do a shit ton of volume, but that's okay. Again, everything here that you've seen so far is 2 sets. Just take it to failure. All the reps in reserve. If you want to, 1 rep in reserve, 2 reps in reserve. But I always find that a little bit hard to gauge. Now, it wouldn't be a full rounded back day without hitting some rear delts, and there's often some contention in terms of whether that frontal or sagittal plane flap that we did at the start is more of a rear delt exercise than something like this. Now, people are saying that the rear delts don't respond to lengthened position or lengthened sarcomere training and things like that. But this is called the rear delt fly, so it's obviously working your rear delts, and it's a tried and trusted method. So why not use it? And that's why we did it with cuffs, to make it that slightly bit easier. And then finishing off, we want to get some lower back stuff in. So I've just kind of gone and done a little makeshift 2 kettlebells here in the Roman chair. You can use dumbbells, you can use plates, you can load this up a lot. And we're mainly trying to create the movement throughout the lumbar segments of the spine. And that is it. That is the most simple, easy back day that you can do.